Hi, this is Ekta and Pooja from Journey Together. Hi, welcome Ali to our show. This is a show wherein we discuss about various holistic modalities, and today Ali would be discussing about the mantra and sound healing that she's been practicing for a while, and maybe we can touch the retreats and other bits that you've done and a bit of your journey. How did you start doing practicing this? So, welcome Ali to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Welcome, Ali. As we were discussing earlier, through the journey together, we are trying to bring visionaries, healers, and teachers from around the world on the same forum. And so they are sharing their knowledge, they are sharing their journeys, and also, whatever they have learned, benefits, and so that our viewers can also, have that awareness from that. So over to you, Ali. If you can share your journey, how you got into healing, sound healing and your Kriya Yoga. Thank you.
Great. Hi. Yes, so my journey started with something quite different. I was previously working in London in PR. I was running my own small PR agency and living quite a hectic life of excess, shall we say. I had been practicing yoga since my early 20s, which really just made such profound transformation to my mental health during some difficult times. So I got to a point with my work where I was just very much just keeping myself in balance. And I kind of thought, you know, what if I just went into the well-being and the healing world and saw how life could be with that. So I packed up my business, I went off to India, I did my yoga teacher training and did a lot of traveling and encountered all different practices and studies before coming back to the UK and really beginning to make this the center of my life. Initially teaching yoga and then being drawn into the wonderful world of sound. So I first really came to sound through mantra in my yoga teacher training, and I was completely captivated but also terrified by, I suppose, the power and the potential of my voice. I'd never worked with my voice, I never thought I could sing, and suddenly I was just blown open by this experience of sound. So that kind of got me thirsty to find out more about sound and vibration and how it impacts the body and the mind. And coming back to the UK, I sought out various studies with various wonderful sound healing teachers and really came to specialise in working with the gong, with this beautiful instrument which has been used through millennia for personal transformation, ceremony, celebration. So I began to study, I began to collect gongs, I began to try them with people and experiment. And gradually over time, this really became my main work in creating sound ceremonies, sound baths, sound based retreats for people using this majestic instrument.
So what is sound bath or sound healing? How does that happen?
So sound heals in various different ways. We could say, this kind of ancient understanding is that everything is sound or everything is vibration, everything within our bodies, everything within the universe around us is vibration of energy. So sound healing really works by reharmonizing or rebalancing those different vibrations within us. So there's the kind of specific frequency side where different frequencies can activate or balance different elements within us, but sound also has a really powerful way of kind of bypassing the mind. So a lot of people think, I can't meditate, my mind's really busy, there's so much chatter, there's so much going on. Sound just bypasses all of that struggle or tension and really takes us into a very deep, profound healing or meditative state. So it slows the brain waves very, very quickly from our kind of active thinking state into states which put the body into very deep relaxation and allow us to access our own healing resources. So really the sound and the sound healer are the conduit or the conductor, for us accessing our own healing potential.
I have heard all these, sound waves and mantras can heal somebody who's at, far away from us as well. So how does that work? Does that work? I mean, if I'm doing a mantra for somebody here and my parents or somebody I'm doing it for, they are quite far, like miles away from us. How does that impact?
Basically, distant healing.
Yeah,
How does that work basically?
yeah, I mean, distant healing is used in all modalities from Reiki to sound. And I think the most important thing for me is the intention. So, the intention of the person sending the sound, which really transcends the kind of, the physical barriers that we might have, and also the intention of the person receiving to be open and receptive to the sound being offered. One of the interesting things that's happened during lockdown is obviously all face-to-face work wasn't possible anymore. So I started offering my work online, which is a form of distance healing, really. And I was very skeptical at first. Could something that is a vibrational healing modality really travel across, computer, microphone, distance into someone else's experience? But I've been really amazed by the results, and found that even if Zoom drops in quality and someone loses some of the actual the physical sound, still the intention of receiving the sound and offering the sound carries something to that person. So almost just by making that space to receive, and by somebody offering the healing, actually the effects are felt. So it's been a really great learning experience to really see how that works.
That's amazing. You also mentioned, before we started this conversation, you also mentioned about retreats.
Yes.
So, what is the structure format of your retreats? What do you, what kind of clientele comes? If you can just tell something about that to our viewers.
I've run lots of retreats over the years, some with much bigger groups, some retreats in India, some retreats in Europe, some in the UK. My main focus at the moment is working quite personally and individually with people. So, myself and my partner moved to Cornwall about 3 years ago, and just before lockdown, we moved into a beautiful place here on the Lizard Peninsula, which is the most
Oh.
southerly point of the UK. Very, very magical, ancient elemental land. So what we've done here is we have set up one little kind of suite for people to come, and we work with either an individual or a couple for a long weekend to really get to know them and really offer them very, very tailored and very focused and powerful experiences. So the sound is obviously the center of that experience. We like to work really in depth with someone and understand what their needs are. And we find that, in a group, obviously the sound is reaching many people, whereas in a one-to-one setting, it's only focused on that person, their intention, and what they need. So that's really one of the ways I love to work. So people would come for a long weekend, they would experience this personalised sound healing, and we would often give them lots of time to go out into nature and walk and explore and integrate and ground, and also share with them our passion for plant-based lifestyle, so vegan food, yoga, growing our own food, and just really trying to connect to something deeper than we do in our everyday lives when we are, on screens all the time. We're, constantly on. We're absorbing all the vibrations of Wi-Fi and signals. So this is a chance to kind of get away and switch off. And I think at this point in time, that's really important because although Zoom and online has been wonderful to connect us, with healing or with learning, we also need to just switch off and return to ourselves. So that's really resonating with people, I think, at the moment, to have a bit of a digital detox and connect with more natural vibrations.
So, when it comes to sound healing, it doesn't touch only at the physical level, right? It touches at the mental, emotional level as well.
Yeah.
So, what kind of experiences people have, shared with you after they've gone back from your retreats, or taking the course with you or things like that?
So many different experiences. It really depends on the person and what they need in that moment. So I always say to people, the experience will be different every single time for each and every person. And it really depends what you bring into the space as your needs and intention. So we always take time to really connect with that before the sound. So, as you say, physical benefits, anything from pain relief. There have been studies showing relief from conditions like fibromyalgia, chronic pain. I've had people come in with chronic back pain or neck pain or knee pain and kind of leave with a lot of relief from that physical discomfort. But as you say, there are deeper effects on an energetic level. So, of course, every layer of ourselves is a different vibration, and people often find that if they come in low energy, they will leave with much more energy. Maybe if they're feeling very anxious or kind of overstimulated, they can leave feeling calmed and soothed. People might feel that they're energetically unbalanced in a certain area. You might call that a certain chakra. So by really focusing their intention on receiving the sound in that place, they can rebalance energetically. I think mental health is one of the most sort of pressing issues of our time, especially at the moment. And I've certainly found that people get a lot of release from anxiety and stress. Worry. Sound really has the potential to help us calm our thoughts, but also get some clarity and insight on why a certain problem might be manifesting, or a certain pattern that we might be repeating, which is keeping us in difficulty, maybe making us feel stuck. And then finally, there's the kind of spiritual level, as we talked about. The mantra Om is really the primordial sound, which is designed to take us into silence, mental silence, and that connection with oneness. And the gong has often been said to be a representation of Om, of that really powerful primordial sound. So people can have really profound experiences of going into that state of oneness, connection with all, connection with themselves. So it's really wonderful to see how people can receive on different levels and different layers that they are maybe ready for or need in that moment.
So once people leave your retreat or after connecting with you, obviously first of all they need to have that digital detox and that mindset, that they need to continue and connecting with themselves. But is there anything else that they can do at home which will resonate with what they have learned at your place? I mean, I'll just give you an example. I collected this from.
Yeah.
So I do try, but I'm an amateur in sound healing. But I definitely, whenever I'm doing trying to use this, there's a lot of soothing and I'm calming my mind. But is there anything that you can recommend or
Maybe
to?
all the instruments, like this is one of them. So
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
one of the
you
instruments.
use
absolutely.
for
So
sound? Is it one would be the mantra?
Oh wow.
I've got mine as well. I just thought I'll get this for this. So this is the Indian thing. So
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is does these all have the same impact, or it depends on what you're doing? And then so one is these all the instruments that we use for the sound and sound healing. Another is mantras as well. So do you target specific tools or specific mantras for specific problems, or these can be general?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some mantras which are universal and general and can be used by everybody to access meditation. There's a huge science of very specific mantras for specific issues. That's not so much my background and training, but I would say that yes, we can buy instruments, but we also all have the most powerful instrument, which is our voice. So I would
Okay.
encourage people to, work with mantra if that resonates with them, but they can also work with toning exercises, vowel sounds. So just using the voice in quite a creative and intuitive way. We're often very blocked in the throat chakra, so our voice is a really obvious way to start to open up that energy. So there's the voice, which we can, access anywhere, anytime. We don't need any, particular training. And as you said, there are instruments. So having a singing bowl at home, to help your family if they're stressed, or to maybe play yourself before you meditate, is a really wonderful tool. It would be amazing if everyone had a gong in their living room instead of a TV, maybe one day. So I would encourage people who get really into the sound, get your own gong. Like, there's lots of training you can do to learn particular techniques, but the main teacher is the gong itself. So if you just want to play for yourself, or maybe your friends and family, then get a gong, start playing every day as your meditation, and share that with the loved ones in your life, because it really is such a powerful tool for transformation.
Is there any specific way we played it? Maybe if you want to show us, how do we play this gong?
For a singing bowl, I don't have a mallet on me, but there are different ways to play, from striking the side of the singing
Mm-hmm.
bowl to playing around the bowl so that you bring out the kind of singing sound and the
Okay.
overtones. Um, so it's good to have different mallets so you can experiment with bringing out different sounds. You can sing with the bowl as well, which is really beautiful. You can place it on the body, so you can
Mm-hmm.
place it on your own body, for example, placing it on the heart or the belly, or you can do the same for somebody else in your family or friends or partner, to place it on the body and very gently play. So there's a whole science and understanding to that of sound massage, and how that can be really powerful, directly influencing the body.
Wow, this has been really insightful. Thank you, Ali.
You're welcome.
Thanks
So
for
one question I had, sorry. So when we talk about these sound and these mantras and how they heal us, does when we chant these mantras, silently, but there's no sound. So would it have the same impact, or when we are chanting them loudly and that sound would have more impact? So what is it? Is it same or?
There are different layers to meditating with a mantra, in my understanding, and the first one would be to chant it outside, verbally chanting.
Loudly.
And obviously, the mantra activates all different energy points in the palate and connects to the energy channels through the body. So that becomes very, very powerful, especially when we chant as a group. The
Mm.
combined vibrations that we receive can be extremely healing. Then we would go to a stage where we were just moving the lips but not making a sound.
Mm.
And as we come into that internal sound, it becomes more about the inner vibrations and moving towards the silence. And then we would just mentally repeat the mantra, which of
Mm.
course we can do anywhere at any time, whether we're on the bus or the tube or we're sitting in meditation. And then eventually there's a point when the mantra is repeating within us. So, the power of the mantra is always reverberating inside us. And then, of course, there's the level of silence. So, the mantra or any sound is designed to take us to an inner silence, which is really where we access the deep healing, the deep wisdom, the deep knowledge.
Sorry, one last question because I'm just curious. I love this topic actually. Uh, we are talking about the sound and how it has an impact on healing, but there are people like the young generation. They will listen to to very loud music and they still enjoy. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand. So is that just a temporary enjoyment, and then that doesn't have a good impact on their mind, or that is also good because that's sound, but it's loud sound.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, obviously you want to look after your ears, and not
Yeah.
play too loud, which is a consideration when we're using these powerful instruments like gongs and bowls. But everybody loves music, and
Yeah.
everybody finds music healing and therapeutic in their
Okay.
own
So that
way.
is
So
also.
I think it's whatever resonates with you rather than one
Mm.
being better than the other. There have been lots of studies and experiments showing that different types of music create different brainwave states. So some music might be really uplifting, some music might help you study and concentrate better, some music might put you to sleep. So, sound is such a fascinating and personal field that really I think is just about finding what resonates with you in that moment.
Brilliant.
I also wanted to add,
Like this.
oh sorry, could I just add,
Yeah, sure.
you mentioned about when people leave the retreat or they leave the sessions, how can
Mm.
they continue? I have actually done quite a lot of recording, so people can use a recorded track if they can't access, a physical sound bath or sound ceremony. Pop on some headphones and listen to that at home, and I often hear from people that that can be real first aid for them in difficult times to be able to just put on the track when they need it. So that's also something that is becoming, more and more popular, is recorded versions of particular mantras, gongs, sound baths, sound journeys, different frequencies.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you
Thanks
so much, Ali.
for coming over.
Thank you. It was so nice to have you.
Lovely to
Thank,
meet you. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.